Saadadeen,
Suleiman.
how was your week, bro?
My week's been alright. I had a thigh injury for the last week, so I barely had done any exercise or left my room or anything like that just because I wanted to rest it. So today was the first day I went out for a jog in the morning, and that's why you lot saw me come back quite late. So these lot literally bumped into me as I was coming back from my jog, basically. So they had to help me set up and everything like that. So it's been nice to finally like go outside and do something properly other than like cycling to the shop or something like that. So yeah, man, that's the latest with me. What about you, Suleiman?
Yeah, how's your fight doing now, man? You feeling good?
Yeah, it's like 95%.
95%.
Yeah, I'll give it maybe a couple more days. It should be alright. I'm gonna try play football today and see how it goes in it. But yeah, what about you, Suleiman?
Bro, obviously, shout out Amin, shout out Baker, shout out Ade. Nah, these three, they invited me to do some skipping with them this morning. A nice, like, healthy morning exercise. There's this little park in Jesus Green. Us three, imagine 4 men just literally just skipping in this children's playground, and a bunch of different mums are just walking past with their prams and like they see these grown ass guys just skipping. It's it's a funny thing to look at, but it was really good exercise. It was like a 30-minute session, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm feeling healthy, feeling energetic.
On that, yeah, because I know you lot plug in your headphones and do it. Is there any communication between you lot at any point?
Bro, the sick thing about it is that we have the rests. You know what I mean? And I feel like during the rest,
and with like AirPods and stuff, little double tap. Say what you got to say. Little double tap. There's actually kind of a lot of communication. There's a lot. But when the silence comes, that means everyone's losing it a little bit. They're getting a bit tired. You're feeling it in your chest. But yeah, the rests are good. We live for the rest.
Bro, the rest happens after every single one.
Let me ask you lot, because you lot do it as a group. Is there any sort of like group mottos or things that you lot say to gas each other up, like come on boys, is there any of that, or is it everyone just does that
kind of? Yeah, there's always Amin, man, you said to be on time today, and but you know who keeps us going? It's the old ladies, man.
Oh, swear.
They're walking past, you boys are so energetic. They keep us going, man. I'm not gonna lie. That's
you got like
it wouldn't be a skipping session about the old ladies, man. Shouting them out, man.
You know, like you put your hand on the I appreciate that. I appreciate you. That means more to me than you know.
These times, bro. These times you're trying to give up.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Amin, man? How you been? How's your week?
Yeah, it's been a good week. You know, I've been changing. You know, working as you do, just kind of just experimenting with different work styles. You know, Ramadan coming up, what's gonna work? Is it a nighttime thing? Is it a daytime thing and whatnot? But it's good to have you at skipping today. You know, you did surprise us. He's come to me all humble and that I can't skip and I don't know how to do it and haven't touched it that much. But he knows exactly what he's doing with a skipping rope, so I got to give it to him.
I know my way around.
He knows his way around.
It's not my first rodeo. Man comes up with a specialized skipping rope.
Specialized one, but it's been a good week. The sun is shining as well, so Monday, I just think just trying out different things this week, different ways of approaching work and whatnot. But
Amin, what was some of your earliest memories growing up?
Some of my earliest memories growing up, right? Let me think how early we're gonna go. So I wasn't actually born in London, I was born in Manchester. So I lived in Manchester like first 8 years of my life. That's where like when you talk about early memories, like early memories, that's all my early memories in Manchester, like with my family, my cousins, friends, going primary school there, just living that northern lifestyle. It was a good lifestyle. I enjoyed it. Then so that my earliest memories are just kind of just being around my family, being around my cousins. You know, there's like kind of a big Sudanese community there, so going to them. You know, there's like parties where like the whole community's there. It's in a hall, and like it's 11 p.m. and you're conking out like and your mother's still talking to people. You're like, I'm tired. Don't drag me to these motives anymore. Because you know when I feel like the thing is,
Man said, I draw the line here, mom.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the early memories I have is because when you're younger, a lot of the time you spend outside of school is kind of dictated by your parents to an extent. Like, if they're going to something, you're going to go with them or whatnot. So. When you get older, you have a lot more agency. You don't have to go to these things. But, so a lot of my time younger, just going to all those types of different things and being around, different types of people and stuff. And then when I was 8, moved to London. So probably my earliest memory from that is like no one can understand me, number one, because I've got a strong like Mancunian accent and it's high pitched as well. So people are making fun of me for saying different words. I'm like, I was like, these people are aliens, man. What are they talking about? Like, this is the right way you say water. But now it's kind of, that accent's been long gone now. But yeah, I just kind of remember being starstruck. But I'm like, it's a big, big city. Like, there's so many buses. There's this thing called the Tube. Like, it's big. It's like huge, like massive. And
how did you feel like when you left your friends and like you left all the people you knew in Manchester? Like, do you remember how you felt coming to London for the first day? Do you remember?
I remember how far. I gave my mum a lot of grief. I was like, I do not want to be I was like, see this London place? I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Well, because I imagine I have my school books over me from Manchester. Oh, come on, we're gonna go back to Manchester. I was like, no, you're not going back. You live in London. I'm like, oh, this is not it. But 8-year-olds, it's like to complain. Like sometimes you can get so stubborn. You just like get so headstrong. Like, no, I want to be in Manchester. My cousins are there. My friends are there. I don't want to go back. But I feel like, kind of grow up by like 18 months when I'm like, yeah, London is different. Like, I got new friends here. There's new different people. That's the good thing about primary school. Everyone's a lot more malleable. Like, things aren't set in stone as much. Like, and I was still visiting Manchester a lot because my dad was still living there. I'll go check on him and stuff, my cousins. So I never really like was fully separated from it. But I do remember, I was quite annoyed about that. I was like, why would you do that to me? I like this Manchester place. Don't take me to London. London's weird. Like, there's some weirdness going on here. But no, I learned to love it. I learned to love the place.
Suleiman, do you remember ever like getting dragged? Because I mean, mentioned getting dragged by your parents' places and just having to just firm it.
Bro, there's one memory. If I bring this up, oh my dude. Basically, my grandparents used to do that like vicar circles, like where like people would come to the house and like basically just do like kind of acts of worship and stuff like that, right? But these would go on until the latest, bro. They'd be going on until 2, 3 a.m. And imagine they live in this cul-de-sac in Norfolk, right? And all their neighbors are white, So it's like, just imagine this one house kind of like, it gets kind of loud because quite a few people are there and like, especially because it's in a language that they don't understand. People like poking their head through the window, like what are those Muslimics doing over there? But yeah, that's a memory that comes to mind because we used to do that maybe a couple times a year. What about you? Anything that comes to mind?
When you mention it, I just remember Hammersmith Primark, being in there and just being like, I hate Primark. Like, bro, to this day, I hate Primark,
shopping.
To this day, I hate Primark, bro. I can't be it. It's the clothes are never ending, bro. It's like, and now they have a new. That was for me. That was like. You want to try and divert your mum's route a different route. You don't go through. You don't want to. Because basically, in King's Mall, to get into the mall, you kind of can go through Primark. Yeah. So my mum will be like, nah, man, we're going into like Sainsbury's. It's fine. We'll just pass through because this is just the easier route. I'm like, nah. Let's just go around in it. And then like 2 hours later, and then they bump into a friend.
Listen, anytime you find a seat, you just sit there, bro.
No. For me, the worst shops going out with my mum were any shop that sold clothes and like homeware as well.
TK Maxx.
Like, TK Maxx, John Lewis, them places, it never ended because
trust me, they got makeup,
we go through the women's section. I'm like, we're done. I'm tapping up.
The women's section.
You're like, what am I doing? And then they're like, nah, I gotta go look for some plates. I'm like, this is never ending. And it starts to get hot in there. You get tired.
Just when you think it's over, there's a new section.
Yeah, there's a new section. I'm like, I can't stand these shops, man.
I would guilt trip my mum, be like, listen, we gotta get some chicken and chips on the way home. I need some energy.
And also, when you mentioned that going to Manchester, it reminded me like end of year 6 leavers day. Like you have a part, like it's not a part, but you have things going on for that week or last week of year 6. My mum booked a flight to Egypt, bro. And I've never been to Egypt before. We're not even Egyptian. I'm like, Mom, we're not even Egyptian, bruv. Like, why are we going to
them was trying to like, it's a bit cheaper before the holiday starts. You're like, let's go on holiday now, bro.
I remember, I was like, nah, bro. I was on that plane, upset, getting bed. Like, I just got a phone that day, so I was getting text messages and like, people be like, yo, where you? I was like, yo.
Don't want to know.
These times, what was the anthem? What was the anthem in year 6 when you were in year 6?
What do you mean that?
For us, it was the Ayaz replay. I remember that.
That was big. Black Eyed Peas and all of those guys.
That's a good question. That's a great question. What was the anthem? I feel like it was Soulja Boy.
Yeah, it might have been.
What's the song called? It might be even called Soulja Boy. It's Superman.
Crank That.
That's it. Crank That. Yeah. It might have been that still. Yeah.
That's still a low-key anthem to this day, though. I know,
You know what?
yeah, you know what? It low-key is, you know. I know Soulja Boy's still eating off that song, man. He's doing well for himself.
Man said you said that with a tone of resignation. Like,
Yeah.
you know what, guys? Let's call a spade a spade.
That's it. So did you move to Pimlico then when you were 8? Like, did you move straight to where you live now?
Kind of more or less, yeah. Like, there's a
Okay.
little bit of moving around here or there, but
Okay,
it's more or less like Pimlico, yeah.
calm. Talk to us a bit about like your kind of your first days going into school, and like what was it like kind of integrating into like the London school system and like meeting people from different areas. Yeah, what are your memories from that?
So my memory from that is, yeah, so in London, I was like, my mum's like to me, right, cool, you guys, you got to go to school, like, let's go, we're going to go to school. So I don't know how she even picked the school. So I went to Millbank Primary School, yeah, shout out Millbank. And I went there, so I went in, and the head teacher, because back then, in my primary school, I think it was like proper, it was pretty progressive school now that I think about it. You were allowed school to teach by their first name and whatnot. So the head teacher, Alison, she's like, oh, yeah, you can start tomorrow. I think the first thing that struck me about Millbank, or just London primary schools, was how multicultural it was. Like, it was crazy, crazy multicultural. I was hearing countries I never heard before. I didn't even know what Kosovo was before I went. Literally, I didn't know any of these countries. Like, what are these places like? Because my primary school in Manchester, it was like, I think it was like majority like Pakistani, and then like after that like white British, and then after that it's like a mix of other different people. So I was like, cool. That was my worldview. That's all I knew. I was like, yeah, this is like, that's a normal primary school. But I was shocked. There was so many different types of people in different languages and whatnot, and different religions. Like, it was kind of not overwhelming. It's kind of interesting because, you know, you ask them, oh, where are you from? Someone saying from South Korea. Like, I've never met someone from South Korea in my life. Or someone saying from Kosovo. I'm like, what's Kosovo? And then they got to show me what Kosovo is. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm learning a little bit.
Yeah. That's
learning
crazy.
some new things every day. Like, that was the thing that struck me the most. And I think also what struck me is, I don't know. It was just, I enjoyed that primary school because, you know, teachers by their first name, and like, it wasn't like no school uniform, but I think the general rule was, the bit on top has to be some form of red, and then anything below, like, you can wear jeans or trackies, whatever. So it was a lot of freedom to do what you want. Like, I had a good time there, but I think the thing that struck me the most was like, oh my god, like, you know, I'm not gonna say I thought I knew the world when I was 8, but you're like, oh wow, the world's actually like a big, big place, and there's loads of different types of people. And then it got even more confusing when you're like, oh, so where do you live? And they're saying all these places in London I've never heard of, like Kennington, but Kennington's not Kensington, and whatnot. And that confused me for a while. I was like, I don't even know how to get my head around this. And then someone saying he lives in Lambeth, and someone says, yeah, but Kennington's in Lambeth. I'm thinking, wow, this is confusing me, man. This confusing me. And like, just stuff like that. And also kind of, I think another thing that struck me is just the way like housing estates are in London. So there'll be whole like, in Manchester, there's not really like blocks of flats. You don't find like blocks. I think London and Birmingham and other like couple other cities are the only ones that actually have like blocks, if you know what I'm talking about. So, you know, you can have like 10 of your friends from the primary school, and they literally all live within 2 minutes of each other. That was something a little bit different for me. I was like, that's an interesting. Like, I was like, number one, that is way more fun because you can actually play out and you can bring people out. So that was another thing to get my head around. I was like, okay, cool. You know, they all live in the same area, but even within that, they all live in this little small part of the area together. And like, that was, you know, something interesting. Just the whole dynamic of how London works and stuff was it was a bit new, but it was exciting times, yeah.
On the topic of playing out, Saadadeen and Amin, what did playing out look like for you guys when you were, let's say, early high school, late primary school? You know, that kind of innocent phase of your adolescence. What did playing out mean to you? What did it look like?
I'll go first. So playing out for me, cool. You play out, it meant we're gonna go to the place called like Green Cage or like Black Cage, like these like pitches in Pimlico. We're gonna play football, and if we get bored of football, we're gonna play like run-outs, or just basically just involved just running around, some variation of just running around. And there'll be someone on the scooter going shops for people and whatnot, just until it got like dark, and then everyone kind of makes their ways home and whatnot. But always involved some variation of like some type of like knockouts or playing walls, or like, it wasn't even really five-a-side, it just some type of different sides playing against each other. And then people got bored of that, run-outs, but just, I don't know, just hanging out while there's daytime, playing different games. That's what it was for me, at least.
Yeah, for me, it was, we used to have like this back garage that like everyone on my street used to play. in. So like we play football, and then it's interesting because like you get caught up in what people on your that you play out with get into. So like I remember one of them got mad into wrestling, yeah, and all of us just got into wrestling. And that was the reason I remember Suleiman and I speaking in a recent conversation about like wanting to get Sky. So I was like, Mom, like I'm trying to watch The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Like you know,
that's so
WrestleMania
true.
like is coming up,
Yeah,
fam.
that's so true.
So it was like, so he got into, so everyone will get into that. And then there was this thing like action figures and things like that. And so everyone got into that. And I remember, you know, like ants and like just bare ants, and you're like, like killing ants on the floor and things like that. You're like, like, so just being very creative and imaginative, like with what little things you have available, basically. So yeah, that's what comes to mind. And then I think growing up, it just became very football oriented. Like when you mentioned year 7, year 8, and 9, I remember to the point where we'd have a football match, yeah, and the motive after the football match was, let's just go play football, like more. And to me, I was like, yeah. So that was going Westway, like a lot of Westway as well. So that's the kind of things that come to mind for me. What about you, Suleiman?
So, okay, I would say if I was to kind of do this in a succinct way, it started very micro. So you start in the estate that I live in, right? So not even the estate, it starts on the road, like you said. So you start off in the road that I live on. It was Waterside Road, and there was like a small, very concrete pitch that we used to play football and just chill. But then it would go a bit bigger. So we'd go to the rest of the estate, which is a bit bigger. So then we'd go to the park, which is near a primary school. So we played there for a bit. There are 2 parks in my estate, so we'd go to both of the parks. And then it'll get a bit bigger. Then we go to a different park in Southall. There's one like the Rec near Featherstone. We used to go to that park. And then once you touch high school, then you're going Ealing. Then you're going to different parts of West London. You might go Westfield. And then as soon as you only just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you go to Central London, and it just gets bigger, and you're like rotted. Like this, we live in a big city. I think that's literally how I would describe my childhood. Just constantly, kind of going to like kind of I don't know how to describe this well, but just like going from micro to macro, basically.
I
That's
know
the
what
way
you
I
mean
thought about it.
completely. Like the sphere of influence goes on. Cool. I'm in my area, and then it's like cool. Actually, let's see if you walk a bit further, and then you get there, and then what happens if I take this bus? Take that bus, and someone says tube, what 75 feet, and then that's when you know it's big, then it's bigger. Then that's when you know, like, oh my god, London is a huge place. And also, just a quick disclaimer. I was never good at football. Anyone who watches this back goes like, what's this Amin guy talking about? He was a dead ball. I'm like, look, I admit I was not good at football, but I still used to come in it.
That's the taking part.
That's funny, man. Cool, man. What are some of the memories that come to mind when you think about secondary school? Like, what are some of the big memories that come to mind, like big events that you remember?
Big events from secondary school.
Yeah, that were just not big in terms of big, but like personal, like that you did the personal events that meant a lot to you or that are quite memorable.
I think so. So when I went I went Pimlico Academy, right? So I think I went year 7, like 2011, 2012. I think the school had just recently been like an academy, right? Like the old school had been knocked down, so it was fresh building, and before people in Pimlico could just wear like a polo and like a jumper, like it was pretty casual, just like you could do what you want. And now you have to wear like a suit, blazer, and I can't remember what it's called. You know that like jumper, but it has no arms.
No way.
Yeah,
you have to wear that.
Yeah, we had to wear it 7.
That's
What's
crazy.
it talking? I don't know what it's called. Tank top.
Yeah, I think it
Tank
is
top. How can I forget? You had to wear tank tops and stuff. So
and a blazer over that.
Yeah, and a blazer over that. So,
Wow.
but then they introduced jumpers like a couple. Like there was,
Okay.
you could buy an extra jumper, but every year 7, if you see someone in tank tops, either year 7 or they like to
Little
wear
year
a tank
7s are
top.
always the most well dressed.
Yeah, it was like well dressed. So like, I thought it's kind of there's a whole different. It's kind of coming to a whole new school. Like they're trying to change the reputation stuff. But overall, I had good memories of Pimlico Academy. I enjoyed my time there. Like it was a good school. But I think one thing I do hold close to my heart, is there used to be this debate club in year 8, and I used to go to it. It was like with debate, man. It was good fun to go, and I'd even drag my friend Ziad to go as well. And he was not into debating at all. He'd just be the guy doing the timer for the speeches. Like, he'd be on the timer. I remember once he got in trouble in it. He must have been playing like cool maths games, And then he messed up the time and it went all loud and all this stuff and he got shouted at it. But he had real solidarity still. He'd come. And I think the most memorable thing about that is like in secondary school, it's kind of difficult to have like it's kind of rare you have a whole year school trip. So school trips are like pretty localized, like cool, maybe the football team are going to go to another school to play football, you know, languages are going to do this and whatnot. But debate club, when you're in debate club, you can get to, you do trips and stuff, like sometimes for the whole day doing competitions. So I found that proper, like I enjoyed that a lot in it. And it wasn't even a big club in the school. Like it was a big school, but the club itself wasn't that big. So it was run by Mr. Lloyd, and Mr. Lloyd, I thought he was proper good and stuff. Like, so that was like one big memory, just branching out and then, oh, right, so I can go on all these little school trips and stuff. Yeah, I can miss a day that no one else gets to miss or whatnot. And it was fun. I was also meeting people from different schools and kind of realize that, you know, the circle of people that are interested in debating and that whole side of things is a lot bigger than just, you know, the small club within your school, you know. There are some schools where their debate club is a similar size to the one in your school, and there are other schools where they got 3 different debate teams and they're like very, very serious about what they're doing. So just getting a bit of a taste of that was that's something I hold.
How would you describe your debating style?
My debating style. Well, this is the thing. I don't debate anymore, but I think when you're younger, you can just get away with just having a lot of confidence. Like that already, you've got 100 extra points because you're like 12, 13, and you're just saying things with bad conviction. You already sound good. And yeah, if you just say it with conviction and articulate, like,
this sounds believed.
This sounds believed.
And you start doing this with your hands.
Yeah, you start doing that with your hands and stuff. But then I think that's the difference when you get older and you start debating. It's less about, you know, the style, it's actually what you're saying. And that's the difference. But I think for the fun part, it's like, oh yeah, I'm pretty confident. I'm just going to like, just say things in a confident way. And for the most part, if it makes sense what you're saying, you know, it's a good outcome.
On debate day, like, did you feel nervous? Or like, what were the emotions you felt on like a debate day?
On a debate day, so there's a guy in the year above called Josh, and he was a debate man in the school. So he kind of like, in a way, took me under his wing. So he like showed me the ropes and whatnot, and he was like really good at debating. Like he still debates, I still think. So shout out to Josh. But I think I wasn't so much nervous. I was more like, I just felt mad confident. I don't know why I felt so confident, because you only have to speak for 4 minutes, and it's never really in front of, you know, a lot of people. It's quite, because it's like little debates, and then you go up in the tournament and whatnot, then the crowds do get bigger. But, you know, for that 4 minutes, you just kind of have to say what you have to say.
Did you ever have to respond to rebuttals or like people asking you questions?
Oh yeah, was it like point of information?
Yeah.
Point of information.
Those were always the tricky ones.
Point of information.
Like, listen, be quiet, bro.
Yeah, be quiet. Like no. Point of information. Yeah.
Next time.
Point of information. It's so fun saying no to people. Like no. And then you say yes, and then they just throw you off. And you're like, I should have said no to you as well.
Now, the best thing to say is, I'm about to come to that in my next. I'm going to address that in the next part of my speech.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Oh my days, yeah. That's so, yeah. I think that must be the hardest thing, innit? Like when someone just throws a curveball.
You're like, oh man.
Sadadine, did you do any debating or public speaking during your time at school?
Nah, I've never done it. I've done like school plays but everyone in the school has to do that. I think in year 7 or year 8, no, in year 6, there was like this fake UN conference thing, but they take like 10 people from the school. But that's the only thing. Other than that, after that, I stopped doing those things. I didn't stop, I just never did them, basically. What about you, Suleiman?
Yeah, I wish I did it sooner, but I touched it in year 12. So I did some stuff in year 12.
Course,
but year 7 to year 11, I was kind of inactive when it came to those types of things, which is unfortunate, because I think they're very sick experiences. Like not even the technical stuff, but like meeting people just from different places. Like it's good memories. Yeah, man. That's cool, man. That's cool.
No, it definitely was a lot. It was a lot of fun, because that's the thing, when you're young and you do things. You don't do things because like, cool, I'm going to put this on my CV or like, you just do it because you kind of have to enjoy what you're doing a little bit, some element of fun to it. And the reward is, you get to miss that half day of school and whatnot. And you might get the odd shout out in assembly, but it was all fun. It was fun times. Yeah.
What do you think your biggest insecurity was during secondary school?
Ooh, I think my biggest insecurity was, all right. this is like not really insecurity, but it's like something, something that I regret. Had I had the mindset of I don't really care what people think and whatnot, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Um, who knows where I would have been? Like it would have maybe I would have taken a different path. But so when I was in primary school, I used to do this thing called Dream Arts, right? It's like on a Saturday. It's like musical theatre stuff, and I used to proper enjoy it. Like I actually used to enjoy it. And I think I did it all the way up until like year 8 or year 9, innit? And it's every weekend and you do a show the bigger year. My mum used to love it. She used to find it so fun. Like, oh yeah, look at him, he's on the stage and stuff. I used to properly enjoy it, right? Like proper enjoy it. So I had so much fun doing that. So that's another thing. Like even more so than debating, I would say. Like that's something I actually hold close to my heart. Like those times there. So kind of happy that my mum kind of let me do that and like push me to do it at least. Even the times I was like, I don't want to go today. She's like, no, just go. People are relying on you and stuff. So I feel like the biggest insecurity, maybe it's a coming of age thing, but it's like when you're younger, you kind of just get to just do your own thing. And as you get older, and especially in secondary school, it's like what you said before, right, about the wrestling. So for us, there was a little wrestling phase in primary school. And I'm sure like the stimulus for that probably came from someone had an older brother who was watching WWE and stuff. And it gets kind of trickles down. Like information's never overloaded at you at a young age. Everything's a bit trickled down. So you get a bit of a taste like, oh, what is WWE? And then you know that. And like the taste of the big life. But in secondary school, there's so much stimulus. And you're like, okay, these guys into that and that guy's into that. And you kind of have to judge, is it even a cool thing to do? Or is it wet if I do this and stuff like that? And I kind of think that's in the same way. I'm not too regretful because I kind of think there's something natural about that, that question of, all right, cool, there's all this stimulus about what people are into and, what's cool and what's not, and is this a cool thing to do? And you kind of have to make a decision, not a decision, but it's all kind of a bit subconscious, like kind of feeds into who you're becoming. And I think maybe, and that's kind of why I stopped the gym. I said, this is not for me. Like, that was fun, but I'm not really on that anymore. And kind of, I still did enjoy it low key, but you kind of just persuade yourself, yeah, that's not me anymore. Like, that was me when I was younger, but I'm a big man now. I'm not really into that stuff. So I feel like perhaps the biggest insecurity is kind of coming to you. Like, how do you judge all this different stimulus and all these different avenues for who you, like, potentially could be? Like, you're going to be, obviously, there's no box for things, but do you want to be the football man? And if you want to be the football man, does that mean you can't be that guy? Or do you want to be, I don't know, the smart debating guy who chills in the library and stuff? And like, everyone kind of persuades themselves that these boxes exist. When in reality, you can be so many different types of things, but I feel like at secondary school, everything seems so like, definite, if that makes sense. Like, that's it. Like, I'm stuck in this. I've got to kind of follow these trends where, I'm sure there are guys who, I don't know, stuck in a kind of a box who think, yeah, I'm actually low-key into that as well. But that doesn't mean I'm not into this. So I guess that was probably insecurity. How do you judge that? And I guess the end result, the sad thing is, in my opinion, I feel that the end result when you go through that is you kind of just end up doing nothing. In a way, like, it would have been better that you got stuck in the football box. At least you're doing football. It would have been better that you got stuck in the theatre man box. At least you're in the theatre. If you're just struggling, like, you kind of just detach yourself. Like, cool, I'm just going to, I don't know, just not be in any of them boxes. You kind of end up doing nothing in a way. So I think that's the biggest insecurity at the time, was like, how do I judge these things and whatnot, and who do I want to be? But kind of, in the end, it kind of all works. But I feel like everyone has those things when you're at that age, like, if that makes sense.
For sure, man, for sure. How do you think your friends would have described you during your time at secondary school? Like, let's say like late secondary school now. We're talking year 10, year 11, approaching sixth form. Like, how do you think the way your friends described you would have changed during that period of time?
My friends. So this is the funny thing, yeah. Most of my friends are like the friends I had in primary school, because we went to the same secondary school.
Mad.
And so, like, my friend, and even I'm still friends with them today. So they probably just describe me, he's that smart guy. Probably like,
Really?
yeah, he's just that smart. He's kind of calm guy. He's a bit funny at times. Maybe friends. Yeah, he has his moments. Not too many of them, but he has his moments. Or like maybe some other friends might describe me. Yeah, he's a bit silly. Like, he's a funny guy. He's a smart, but he's too silly at the same time. But yeah, I think that's the weird thing, because my friends kind of like, I guess for other people, their friends have known them at different stages of their life. Whereas a lot of my friends have kind of known me from the Manchester accent all the way up until whatever stage in life I'm in now. So I think makes it a little bit more tricky to answer that question. I think they have a bit more of a rounded view of who I am.
Why do you think it is that a lot of your friends are friends that you've retained from your youth?
I think, I don't know. I think part of it is just, just the logistical thing. Literally, all live in the same.
Man said,
Hear me out.
it's administrative.
Hear me out. Let me say it. And I mean logistic. I think it goes for a lot of... Listen. Think about it. I think it goes for a lot of guys in London. Like, if you live in the same area, you go same schools, how can you not be friends for that long, man? Like, come on, man. So it just makes sense, like, not logistical, but just by luck. Like, you all kind of live together, like, you're all friends with each other and whatnot. You know, I'm not saying I'm friends with everyone went primary school with, but I guess for my closest friends, like, not all of them are from my primary school. Like, a couple of them are, but some of them are just guys I met in secondary school, and some even people I met in uni and stuff like that. But I think the ones from like back home were just together. I don't know. You kind of, as you grow up, you kind of. This is actually the interesting thing. We all have different interests. So I don't even know. Sometimes it's a weird one because we all actually have different interests, all different people. Like, for example, one of my friends, he's proper into anime. None of us watch anime apart from him, but he proper watches anime. And, you know, another one, he's weirdly into, like, fashion and stuff. And he likes spending his money on, like, designer clothes. And, like, that's his thing. None of us are into designer clothes apart from him. So, I don't know. It's a weird one. I just think, just know each other. Like, I think people kind of, they like to, I don't know, something nice about being surrounded by people who have a more rounded view of who you are as an individual, if that makes sense. Like, there's always that limit to people you meet at later stages in life, you know. You can, don't get me wrong, you can still be, they can be your bestest friends, they can be your closest friends. But just something about someone who just knows you for the rounded view, that's the thing, like, there's something to be said. If someone can describe you in one word, it's almost as like, and they're not even struggling to think of what word it could be. You know, how well did they actually like really know you?
I think that's really...
That kind of makes sense. Like, something, I think there's a comfortability about being surrounded by people who can see you for, not like 100% of who you are, but at least have a bit more of a rounded view, can appreciate, cool, he likes that, but I don't really like that, and whatnot.
And it reminds me of like a message I received recently from a friend that's known me from ages, but we haven't spoken for time, and they were like, yo, I see what you're doing, like, big up with what you're doing. And it's like, you get those messages here and there, but when someone like that says it, it's like, raw. Do you know, it just makes you go like, that has a lot behind it because you know me from a lot. Do you know what I mean?
It might be similar to what you just said, but I like, you know, when you get a message from someone that you haven't chatted to in a long time, and they might bring up something from the past, and you haven't thought about that in so long. And it, I don't know if I should drop it. We might have to cut this out, innit? But like, one of my guys, like, he messaged me the other day, and he was like, "Bruv, I had some random guys that he was speaking to from his old school mention me in it, like mention some stuff that we kind of got up to back in the days." And I was like, "Is that true, bro? Is that true?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Bro, like, you know what I mean? It's been 5-6 years. I don't even remember, bro." But
it's mad.
It's such a flashback.
It's one of those things like, was that even me? Like, you know, like, it goes from your memory. Like, did I even think like that? It's mad. Bro.
No, it makes you think. I always say this, I was like, my decision making was poor when you ever think, like, what was going through my head to think that was an acceptable course of action to take, like, in that moment of time?
Cool. I've got a question. Let's, on the topic of friendship. Like, do you feel like your friendship has ever been tested in a way, and like, and how has your friendship been tested and stuff in the past?
I think like Suddenly said, like, you know, all the people I'm friends with, there's always, you know, there's moments where, you know, you're close, and there's also moments of you drift apart, like, you might not message for a long time. I feel like, you know, I feel for a big catalyst for a lot of people just literally just going to university. Literally, for a lot of people going to university, I feel there's a privilege, you know, living in London, that you're afforded the fact that quite a lot of your friends are going to go to London unis, so they never drift apart. But if you think about, you know, people from other cities or towns in the UK, going to uni means that's it. Everyone's migrating out. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, they're all going different places. That is a test. Like, and it kind of makes you think, could a lot of, you know, people from London, even, that's a big test. Could you survive that test? If literally every one of your close friends is somewhere in the UK, and there's no sense of, cool, we can all, at least there's one or two people left behind, like, that can, you know, go chill and whatnot. So I think just catalysts like that kind of, you know, goes to drift apart. Or just, I think, like, anything in which there's a meeting of new people, it's gonna, you know, it's kind of, you can't, like, you're gonna want to chill those new people for a little bit, or at least get to know them and stuff. And so even in a weird way, you could even say stuff like NCS. People go for like 3 weeks, and it's kind of hard to keep up with what's happening in the ends, because it's so much stimulus, like, all these new people from different areas and stuff, like, what's going on? and it's all fun, and then you come back and like, oh, cool, your friends are still like all your friends are still your friends and whatnot. But like, and I think just stimulus is like that. It's just kind of test of friendship. But I don't think a friendship is like measured by if you talk every day or whatnot. I always like to say, the love can still be there even if we haven't spoken 1 to 2 years, if that makes sense, or however long.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
So when you moved to uni and you were, for the first time, you were leaving your friends from back in the end and you were going to meet new people, make new friends, like how did you, like what was your kind of mindset in terms of meeting new people, making new friends? Like what kind of people were you looking to make friends with, if that makes sense? Like did you have an idea of kind of what kind of friends you wanted to make, or did you kind of go with the flow and just kind of see who kind of you met naturally?
I think I went with the flow, because I kind of had no idea what I'd expect when you come here. Because I think when you come here, it's like, oh man, I don't know if this is me. I thought at least first 2 weeks of Michaelmas, I thought at first it's like everyone here's just a weirdo. What is going on? like obviously I know you're not all weirdos now. It's good, but the first 2 weeks I'll be honest, I thought nah, this place is so different to London. Like why is everyone like this? I was like, you know what, cool. That's got a soldier through in it. But then that's the thing. I think that's the beautiful thing about friendship. You find friendship in people you don't expect. That's the thing. Like never in a million, like not in a million years.
Man said Baker. What?
At first glance, you'd be like, yeah, cool. He seems like a cool brother. Like he's a cool guy. But we're probably not gonna get along that well. But I feel friendships is beyond your just likes and interests. It's like who you guys are as people, and if you can gel on that level, you'll be good to go. So I think that was the thing. It's a little bit scary at first, like especially when you're like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like I'm not getting any of this banter. Like that joke is not funny. I'm not with any of like that. Like none of this stuff is not amusing me. Nothing is amusing.
Your jokes are dead.
Yeah, your jokes are dead. I'm not liking this place, innit? But I think that's the beautiful thing about friendship. You just find it in different places you wouldn't expect. And I think the only way, I think the one thing that I found is that, the college system is a great system, and for some people, just able to find their whole network within their college, and they're lucky to do that. Whereas for me, I say took a bit of legwork, kind of branching out there, seeing what's even out there. Because I did this maths in my head. It's kind of funny maths. It's actually quite funny. It's silly, but it makes sense. I was like, cool. Let's say there are like 30 colleges. There's 2 cool people at each college in my year. That's 60 people. That is calm. I can live with that. That was in my head.
That's a motive. That's a party.
That's the motive. I was like, that's
a motive.
That's a barbecue.
Tell me that don't make sense. Tell me that don't make sense.
Invitation list.
I was like, cool. There's 2 cool people each college. That's 60 people. Calm. I'm good.
That's a motive.
That's a barbecue.
But yeah, and after that, I was like, that was a silly way of thinking, but it kind of gave me a little bit of hope. I was like, you know what? There must be there's normal people out there.
Nah, fam, I'm on that wave, man.
But then at the same time, you're coming back to college and you realize in college, you just got to give people a bit more time just to get to know them better.
It might be free, innit?
Yeah.
There might be 3 or 4.
There might be 3 or 4, whatnot. And then before I think you'll be surprised by just, on the most part, I think it just came to a thing of you're looking for the good in people. That kind of makes sense. Like, kind of looking for the good. I can appreciate there's good, this guy's a good person at the end when it comes down to it. So he's a cool guy, like, we'll get along. And you know what? I'll show him a little something, he'll show me a little something, and do a little exchange like that. But but I don't think I came in here thinking I'm gonna look for a specific type of friend, because that would have been I'd have been a lost cause. Just gotta take it as it comes. And I think if you're gonna live anywhere, eventually you're gonna meet people you like. It just works like that.
Where do you lot think that idea of these lot of weirdos comes from?
My friends, back home. These lot, all my days. The way they still bounce me to this day. I don't know what image they have of Cambridge with, like, oh man, you're with them Cambridge people, they're weirdos, man, they're weirdos. They kept saying that to me so much. I started believing it. When I came in, I was like, cool. Man, these lot keep telling me, like, I'm going to become a weirdo or whatnot. And I realized, you lots are just lying, man. I had to go at them in Christmas. I was like, listen, stop running Cambridge jokes. You met my Cambridge friends. They're normal people. Stop running jokes on me about this stuff, man. It's not funny anymore. It's been 3 years.
I've had it up to here.
I've had it up to here. It's been 3 years. Stop. You know it's not true. But I think just in general, just their perceptions of what this place is, because it's as alien as it is to them as it was to us in the beginning, but only by being here, we'll know and just kind of.
But even broader than that, would you say it exists in any space we go to? So even if it's a job or anywhere, this idea of like, nah, man, people here, they're just weird. Like, I'm gonna do my own thing.
It's unfamiliarity, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to more time.
I think, I'd agree. I kind of, that you're always going to go into anything, any new space with that kind of fear at the back of your head, like, man, these lot all just weirdos, or I'm not gonna get what they're on about or whatnot. But I don't know. It's like it's like, I don't know if it's a sense of conditioning or it's, in some cases it turns out to be true for some people. Because I feel like, in a sense, the fact I'm able to, sit here and be like, I found loads of cool friends at Cambridge. I love this place. Like, there's a lot of good people here. Loads of good people here. It's almost a privilege in that sense, because there are definitely people here who've come in and have not had a good time, like, at all. Like, be it from supervisors to the people they're living with, like, their experiences is not the one I've had. So I don't want to say my experience is so great that what they're saying doesn't exist. You know what I'm trying to say? Because that's why, in a sense, it just makes me feel, I must have been blessed in a way, because the supervisors I've had have all been great supervisors, and I've not been surrounded by too much weirdness. So there's always that, like, I'm always balancing up in my head, just, that reality does exist for some people. For some people, this place never stops being just weirdos, if that makes sense.
What would you say is something you've noticed change about just who you are in these last 2 years? Or 3 years even?
I would say, actually, I'll tell you this. I'm a lot more confident in what I say. You know why? Because coming to Cambridge, there's a sense that you're intimidated by people, they're so well spoken and articulated. You just kind of take their word as gospel, like, he is talking about this politics thing. He must know what he's talking about, because the way he just said that is crazy. You know what I mean? Or this guy is talking about this subject. He must know what he's talking about. And over time, I kind of realized, wait, that's cap. That's cap. That is cap. That is also cap. And I was like, wait. I was like, this guy actually does not really know what he's talking about. Then it gave me confidence, because now I just say things, and sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying. But I'm like, he doesn't know what he's saying, so I'm allowed to say stuff I don't know what I'm saying. But for the most part, I kind of do know what I'm saying. But there's that kind of confidence you get from kind of realizing that it's like a bubble's been burst. It's like, it was just all a facade. Like, you're actually, I'm sure everyone here is intelligent. Don't, like, no one get offended. But some of you guys are not as smart as you'd like to think you are, especially when you're saying things. And kind of that bubble being burst for me is like, gives you a lot of confidence, because, like, okay, now I can actually start saying what I think and whatnot, and it's got as much validity as whatever nonsense you just said, and back and forth, and like that. So I thought that was quite an interesting thing.
Bro, do you know what that reminds me of? I remember in my first year, I had a conversation with this girl called Suhaima that me and Sad didn't know, and she just graduated from studying history at Cambridge. Yeah. And I was like, how do you do well in essays? Like, what do you recommend I do in my essays to do well? And she basically said, in a nutshell, the tone of your voice when you're speaking needs to be confident. Yeah. So you need to confidently put forward your arguments in a way that there's no other argument is valid than your argument, basically. And it's interesting to see how that kind of translates in practice as well, not just in terms of written academic work. That is definitely an observation that I've had as well, man. And I think it's the process of osmosis. Like, if you're surrounded by people that confidently assert their opinions, inevitably it's going to rub off on you in a way. Literally, yeah. But then it's just about whether you kind of want that to rub off on you. That's the other side of it.
So something I've noticed that's interesting about what you're saying is the first three things that come out of people's mouths, typically, if you compare quote unquote confident and quote unquote unconfident person, because usually these are like very quick judgments that we make, who's confident, who isn't, obviously tone of voice, etc. But a lot of the time when we speak, the first three words that come out of our mouth is and then we go on to say what we want, right? One thing I've noticed from meeting people that I think like speak are very good communicators is the first three words that come out of their mouth are actual words. So it's like, right, da-da-da-da-da, or it's something that just immediately engages you. And if the first 3 words that come out your mouth are, so yeah, which is natural. When you're speaking to friends, that's kind of how you talk. I use it so many times. I'll end the sentence with, but yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, what, bro? But you just end the sentence with that. So it's those little things. Even like when we look over like the podcast the episodes that we record, or if I record a supervision, for example, and just hear myself back, it's interesting to hear those things. And it's like, why is it that I say that? Is it because I'm not sure what I want to say, or I know exactly what I want to say, but it just doesn't feel natural to kind of put on that performance, like, because it might seem a bit performative if you just say it as if, do you know what I mean?
And also it's hedging. You're hedging yourself sometimes as well, like, because you don't. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable to say things objectively.
Yeah.
So you'll say, but yeah, you know what I mean, or like little things like that, just to kind of.
I don't really know.
Yeah, and here's what I think, or even starting things up like that.
Exactly.
It's interesting because I remember having a conversation with a couple of friends about this. One of them, we were having with Suleiman about this idea of like, I suppose that part of presenting your idea being a performance, because you obviously are not sure, but you can't say that. You can't say, I'm not sure, here's what I think. Because obviously, like most things, you're just not really sure, do you know what I mean? But the moment you say that, it's deemed to be like, this person's not really confident, do you know what I mean? But it's probably closer to the truth than saying like, this is exactly what it is. And especially like, I've read this for a week, bro. Like, I've literally just picked up a book and read about this topic for a week. You expect me to come up with bona fide objective truths?
Yeah,
like,
trust me.
So yeah.
So on the topic of Cambridge and university, so we've spoken a little bit about how you've changed. What one thing do you think has remained constant about you since coming to Cambridge, since starting university to this day?
Okay, apart from my hair, I haven't cut off yet. The one that's remained constant, probably. Give me a moment to think. Probably like, in a way, kind of my sense of the bigger picture. Like, definitely my sense of the bigger picture, because in sixth form, everyone's kind of got this. I feel like this is a funny thing, right? In sixth form, especially year 13, everyone has a sense of the bigger picture, at least in the sense that I'm going to do engineering, and then after I graduate, I'm going to do this and that, and that's pattern. Like, everyone's got that sense of the bigger picture, and you get to uni, kind of easy to lose a sense of the bigger picture. There's so many different stimulus, and even though the bigger picture can be kind of like childish or kind of infantile when you're in sixth form, it's a bigger picture nonetheless. Like, you've got a kind of a grand scheme of which direction you want to be headed in. I think at university, kind of can be easy to kind of get a little bit confused. Like, okay, what actually do I want to do? That just even the subjects I want to do and stuff like that. But I guess having that, at least that sense of faith in the bigger picture, and my faith, a man goes up and down. It's not always been the strongest, and sometimes it's better and sometimes it's not good. But that kind of underlying, faith that there is a bigger picture, there's an end point, kind of remains. Like, if that went, I already know where I'd be, to be honest, because that's kind of at the base, the very, very base level. That's kind of what keeps you going, in a sense that everything's just a bit of a journey. Like, things are just stages in your life. Don't really get stuck in university stage. Like, it's not the be all and end all to your life, and then there'll be another stage after that. So that kind of sense of the bigger picture, like, almost basically, I don't really think I got. I don't really, everyone gets lost in the sauce a little bit. I didn't drown in the sauce, though. I like to think I didn't drown in it. I like to think I didn't drown in it.
What about you, Suleiman?
I would say I've always been, or like, when I started university, I was very focused on trying to become, I want to say more all-rounded, but like, I was very focused. I had an intention, or like an aspiration, to kind of be my best self, or like be someone that was optimal in different aspects of my life. Not in terms of just academic, but like family, friends, social, spiritual, I mean, all of the different facets of a human being's life,
Mm.
I was very focused on like trying to be optimal as like, for example, in my first couple of weeks, I was very keen on timetabling and just making sure I fit in time to do different things that I thought were important in my life, like a phone call to my mom or, you know what I mean, like a run in the morning, whatever. Like I tried to timetable it, and even though my methods have changed, I feel like I still have that intention. What about you, Sad? Anything that comes to mind?
This is tough because I want to say this, but I'm questioning like, has it? But I would say my probably fearlessness. I hope in terms of it kind of comes back to what you said. I mean, in that like nothing is that deep for me. So and it's fearlessness tied with curiosity, because it's just I'm gonna go and try this thing out. If it doesn't work out, it's cool. It doesn't matter. It's not me. I'm not in that. This is just something I'm trying, and it's something we spoke about with Baker about tying events to who we are too intimately can be quite destructive, because then if that event doesn't work out or that thing doesn't work out, then it's kind of like you lost a part of yourself. So I would say that curiosity and relentlessness, which I came into university with, I think still exists, and I hope still continues to exist, because I do kind of fear if that goes, like, wagwan, bro. Like, you know, like a younger version of myself will be like to the person, like, bro, what's going on? Like, what happened? Like, how come that's not, do you know what I mean? Because I think that is that attitude is very liberating. But I think the disadvantage of that attitude is that there's a potential of you never really taking something so seriously, because you feel like even if it doesn't, it's not, do you get me? There's other things going on. So I think there's a, which is perhaps even a defense mechanism in and of itself. Like if you really go into it, like this idea of I want to just do so many things, because if one thing fails, then it's all right. It's not that deep in it. So that is my internal monologue of that response. Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying a lot actually, because it kind of reminds me of I bought Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, like over the things, it's like Stoicism and all of that type of stuff. I'm just kind of reading through it, like it's one of those books you can kind of put down, because there was it's basically a quote every other page and whatnot. I'm not advocating to be a full-on Stoic, because it's a bit of a crazy lifestyle, but something he says is kind of interesting. Like it kind of made me think. It's about you kind of almost have more choice than you like to think, in the sense that, you know, really and truly when it comes down to it, you can't actually control external events. Like anything outside of your internal is not actually up to you. Like it's up to, you know, God or, you know, whatever you believe in. But even if you don't believe in anything, you still know it's not really up to you. Like I mean, you can have some control. You can do what you can, but the end result's not up to you. The only thing you can control is your internal. You also, and you know, coming back to the idea of choice, he talks about, you know, harm, and I'm going to butcher the quote, but I'll paraphrase it. Basically, it talks about you have the choice to be harmed or not by different events or different things happening in your life. For example, you know, if you don't get that grade, you almost have a choice to feel how you want to feel about this. You know, your emotions aren't out of your control. Like, of course, you know, it's inevitable. You will feel sad, but I think if you practice that, you can see it as a choice. Like, you know, do I want to feel sad about this? How do I want to respond? How do I actually want to respond to this thing? Because the fact is, this was actually, you know, out of my control. I did what I can. The one thing I do have left in my control is how I want to respond to it. And, you know, of course, I'm not saying don't have emotions or whatnot. You know, there'll be different times where you should let your emotions out. But I feel if people kind of realize that your day-to-day life, you've got a lot more control over how you want to respond to different things. And that kind of, in a way, it's almost like a defense mechanism, but should give you some level of like, maybe not even peace, but at least you'll be like, okay, yeah, that is actually where it kind of whittles down to almost like.
That's interesting. It makes me think about, because I've come across that idea before, and it's like the way I've always thought about it is events are not inherently positive or negative. It's like your judgment on those events. So it's like, if, for example, you get really annoyed or frustrated at things that are inherently not negative, it's like it's kind of empowering to think that you have control over your interpretation of those events, and it's like a muscle that you just need to kind of practice and kind of train up. But a question I have for you, Amin, is Ansad the Dean, is like, how would you say your emotional intelligence has evolved during your time at university? Like your kind of, yeah. What do you guys think?
For me, that's straightforward in that because of this podcast, I think Matthew said the quote, "Everyone's an iceberg." It really refined for me that idea that you just don't know what people are going through, and we all come with a set of assumptions that through osmosis we might learn, or whatever it is that life kind of teaches us, but really you don't really know what that person's on or up to, or what they've been through. And so that idea of, but it's a constant reminder, because it's I think it's just like it can be the neutral. You just kind of go, yeah, cool, this is how you get, like, you just make assumptions of people. But I think that idea of like, I know nothing about you, do you know what I mean? I know nothing about, not you, but the person that I see in front of me, you know little about them, right? So I think that idea, man, it's really driven home over these past couple of years, because when you sit down and have conversations with people or learn about their stories or whatever, it's like, okay, yeah, you just have to kind of sit back and listen, I suppose.
No, I definitely agree with that. You actually never know what someone's been through, what they're going through, what's beneath, the set of labels that other people have given them, like, and it applies to all different people, like, everyone's kind of assigned different labels, or like, oh yeah, that person is private school, posh, rich, whatever, but they might have been through it. You never really know, you actually don't know what goes on in the home, and then someone else might give you these other labels and that type of stuff. And I think also one thing that's kind of, it's a little bit trippy to think about, but this idea that you're different people, you are a different version of yourself to different people, not by way of, you might think I'm still the same guy, but you're gonna see me as a different Amin to how my friends at home see me as a different Amin to how my supervisor sees me, and even I think, no, I'm still the same guy. I'm just keeping it 100. Like, I'm still me. I'm still me. But at the end of the day, that's actually out of your control how they see you. And in the same way, you got to think about that when you see them. Like, I'm only seeing my version of who I think you two are, and that might have a certain level of depth to it, but not as much depth as perhaps a closer friend might see you, or even your family member might see you. So kind of that, bearing that in mind. But then it just gets a bit.
I remember when we had a conversation with Jacob, he was talking about, so every year he does these birthday parties at his uncle's restaurant. Shout out Chakos in Harrow Road, and he brings almost the same 25 people, and these 25 people he knows from different walks of life. So some of the people he's worked with, went to school, and I always used to say to him, bro, that's such a sick thing to be able to be in a room with people that know you from so many different places, where you have to be so many different kinds of people, so many different versions of yourself, to put crudely, and they all can kind of rock with each other and rock with you. That's sick. Do you know what I mean? So I've always just rated that, like, the idea of like, I can bring all my friends into one spot, and I don't because I remember, I don't know where it was I heard it, but like I remember hearing like that is one of the tragedies of like being purposely being very different to different people. Because what happens when they're all in the same room? Like, who are you gonna be? Like, do you know what I mean? So
I sometimes think about all my friends from all walks of life came together. I reckon in the beginning might be a bit of abrasiveness, a little bit of like, what are you on, bro? And stuff like that. But I think at the end of like, all kind of come together. They'll find a bit of common ground.
Do you think you could do that, Salim, man? Just bring all like from these lot from there, these lot from da, bring them all in one room.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I can. Like, I think it's something that.
What do you think that evening will be like? Describe that evening to us.
Describe the evening, bro. There'll be some nice food. It'll be around 7 p.m. I mean, it'll be a good vibe.
Hot Coronando.
Nah, it'll be nice, man. There'll be a nice balcony. People, lemonades. You know what I mean?
Lemonade. Yeah, now we're talking.
You know what I mean? That'll be good. Like, I think people will naturally splinter into different groups. I can imagine some people who are very keen on meeting new people, kind of like just kind of going out of their way to introduce themselves to other people. Obviously, a couple men obviously getting a bit excited. But yeah, I think it would be cool, man. I think people will just be themselves, and I think because you are that one constant that they all know,
Yeah.
they'll feel comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Because I guess they trust you. Your friends trust you, and they trust your opinion of other people. So yeah, it's something that I want to do, man. I rate Jacob for that. It's a big, sick thing to do.
Now, I like the idea of when your friends trust your judgment, because it's like when you introduce like one of your friends to a different friend, like, nah, bro, trust me, he's cool, man. He's
Yeah,
a blessed
trust
guy.
me,
Like,
man.
he's my bro, man.
Nah,
I'm telling
trust
you,
me.
he's my guy, man. He's my guy. Trust me. And then that co-side almost like brings them along together. Like, it's all right, they go in with the knowledge, like, yeah, this is Amin's guy and whatnot. Like, get along.
Nah, definitely.
You're lucky I'm Amin's friend, you know.
I don't know what he sees in you, bro. Come, let's talk about the future, man. Let's talk a bit about your hopes, your dreams, your fears. Like, what are some of your fears about the future? Some of the things that you're kind of maybe a bit worried about.
Yeah.
Concerns. I feel like, I don't know. It's obviously there's the general fears of you don't know what's gonna happen next. Like, if things gonna go my way and stuff. But when I think in the future, it's a bit of it's like almost excitement. I kind of get excited. But that it wasn't always like that. There definitely, I believe probably last year and stuff. There were definitely times where I was thinking about the future, like, oh, what if I don't get this job, or what if I can't do that or do this, or like, what's gonna happen? Like, I'm just gonna be left in the mud. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, but then I feel that's kind of a result of kind of just being in a bit of a Cambridge bubble and whatnot, and everyone around you seemingly doing all this great stuff. But in a way, I kind of see that as like, it's almost like gambling. Like, if you have a friend, you bets, whatever, he's only going to tell you, yeah, man, I won this much, but he's never going to tell you about the losses and stuff. And, I kind of went through a process of, turning that fear or at least anxiousness to almost an excitement. Like, who knows you don't know what's around the corner. Like, the world is a very, 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 like, big place. Like, big place. So it's almost like excitement about what is actually going to be next in the future. So I guess, I'm like, a fear I got perhaps is my future not being as dynamic as everyone would like it to be. Like, am I gonna be like, is it gonna be a thing where I'm stuck in the same career type thing, or like most people want to have that bit of exciting life where you're doing this, that. So is it gonna be as dynamic as perhaps I'd want, or perhaps more importantly, am I gonna enjoy what I'm doing with my livelihood? Because that's essentially what it's gonna be. It's like, what am I actually now I really have the choice of what I want to do in my life. Am I going to be enjoying it? Do I think it's going to be for some sort of a greater good? I think also just the purpose of what I'm doing. Like, is it going to be for a greater good, or, or is it just kind of like a cog in a machine type thing? Like, what type of, I don't know, just those types of things. But I think for me, the main thing was kind of went through a process of, putting, that fear and that anxiousness and turning it almost into excitement or almost hopefulness about what's going to be in the future. But I acknowledge that's not an avenue available to a lot of people. Like, I only got to that level because it's almost like I put trust in a higher power than myself. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You put trust in God. Like, really and truly, if you put trust in, I'll be all right. But not a lot of people have the avenue. But nevertheless, I still think you can turn the fear into excitement because, hey, you got a choice. It's gonna come. The future's gonna come. You might as well.
Let me ask you both this: you wake up in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
It's a Wednesday. You get ready, you get dressed, you go out, you're going out, you're just going out.
Yeah.
I don't know why. What are you wearing? What do you think you'll be wearing?
I already know straight off the bat. Black t-shirt, some nice jeans, black jeans, and some nice crepes as well. Some trainers, basically. Trainers, black jeans, black t-shirt.
5 years in the future, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh. Is that, my head is telling me it's either going to be a suit and tie, or it's going to be my normal clothes, like blue jeans, trainers, jumper, maybe a coat, like that. But
maybe hit him with a coat.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I might wear the coat. I might have to wear the coat. Kind of the goose, hopefully.
That's it. Go fund me like that.
Go fund me.
It's true though. It's crazy how it really is that binary. It's either what the traditional, professional attire is, or it's what you want to wear generally, like what you prefer to wear. What is your casual wear? What you feel comfortable in?
Would you not want to wear what you want to wear to work?
To be honest with you, I feel like I'd want to be in some type of role allows you the flexibility to, you know,
Switch it up on
yeah.
it.
The truth is sometimes you just gotta wear that suit, man.
Yeah.
You can't always be in the jeans and trainers.
Trust.
There'll be situations you gotta be in the suit. But at the same time, if I don't need to be in a suit, I don't want to be in a suit. If that makes sense.
It reminds me of that time we were in a law firm, me inside the dean.
Yeah.
One of the partners walks in with a suit, but he's wearing like trainers.
Yeah.
So it's like a nice hybrid. Do you know what I mean? Like he's still doing
like
his
dressed
thing.
on Friday or
Oh,
something.
it must be said, this guy was like, he ran the firm, innit? So that's a marker, like, man knows,
He's like, listen.
you know, Uncle Chat to man.
Yeah.
Imagine you wear it the next day, but he wore it.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Hey, what about you? What do you see yourself wearing in the next 5 years? It's a good
That's
question as well, you know.
Do you know what, bruv? I really hope I'm not in a suit, man.
Yeah.
Even if the work, I don't know, I just, do you know what, for me, the idea of wearing what I want is honestly one of my life priorities, bro.
Yeah.
Like, if I can manufacture a life here where I can wear what I want, I've smashed it. Like, I've smashed it. But not, because there are a lot of things that I could wear what I want, but do I want to do that? So doing a thing I want to do, I suppose, or doing things I want to do, but being able to wear what I want. I don't know, I just see that as such a normal thing to think, but because of the world, it's just not normal. Like, why would you be able to wear what you want? Like, obviously not. But to me, I'm like, bro, I wear what I want. Like, normally, I would wear what, do you know what I mean? But at the same time, having said that, I know it can kind of sound naive because there are certain messages that a suit communicates that no other type of garments can communicate. If you wear a tie, it means that, bro, it's like waking up early or like being on time. Like, there's no other way you can communicate dedication than to actually do the action. And it just so happens that in the society we live in, that message can only be communicated with a button-up tie and like a navy suit.
So kind of, this might be very off topic, but just something about suits in general. I always have this thought, yeah. I was like, how did suits become the international like baseline for smart wear? Like, I was thinking like, from like imperial to Japan to Europe to like African dictators to the suit is the baseline like everywhere in the world. So I don't know, someone should write this about that. I'd actually read it. Like,
I'm sure a dissertation has been written.
yeah, I need to find it. Like, I've actually tried to look. I was like, when you just thinking like, how did the suit become like literally everyone? It's the baseline everywhere.
Yeah. And the development of the tie, because in certain parts of America they don't have a tie.
Yeah.
You know, like in Texas and that they have that buckle.
The buckle
It's
thing.
the buckle with the two.
And other places like they wear the crochet, where it's just like, you know, the
that big.
fabric. Yeah.
Interesting. Everything has symbolism associated with it, innit? It's like you see like the logo you're wearing on your jumper. Like, why is it placed on that part of the jumper? Like, is it because the heart is there and like, that's the left side of your chest? I don't know. Like, everything's symbolic.
I have to think about the way I phrase this because I feel like I always phrase it wrong in it. So if anyone's listening to this, and you know what I'm saying, big up you. So if Amin in the future was watching this, what would you, sitting here now, what message or what question would you want to relate to them?
So I'm in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching myself back, and there's a message I can relate to myself from the future through myself now to you guys.
Bro, that sounds like Inception.
Wait. Is that what you mean?
You chat to the future now.
Oh, I'm talking to the future now.
You made that sound like a movie plot, bro.
Oh no.
Went in me, bro.
Yeah. So it's a question to my future self.
Basically,
Cool. My bad, bro. Forgive me, man. But my way, this sound cool, innit? Like, you've got matter spirit.
Back to the future.
Sounds like the Matrix, bro. Yeah.
Question I have for my future self. Ooh. Why are you doing Why are you doing the thing you're doing at that particular time? Like, whatever profession you're in or whatever you're doing to occupy your time, why is it that you're doing it? Like, is there an end goal, or is it, a stepping stone to another end goal? But those are just take a moment to think, because I feel like in 5 years' time, so you're like 25 or something, and you're out of education, can be easy to just fall into the trap of just doing things just to get by, or it makes sense. Like, the paycheck's coming in nice every month, I'll do it. But I just think about why are you actually doing it? Because it's not too late. It's not too late. Like 5 years is nothing. Like it's not too late to turn around. But just think about why is it that you're actually doing the thing that you are doing? Like, genuine question.
I think that question is powerful, man, and I think it's a question we don't ask ourselves enough as well. I think that's a nice way to wrap up the conversation, man.
Can I just do one shout out?
Go on, bro.
Go on, bro.
Alright.
But as many shout-outs, bro.
All the projects, everything.
Go in.
Cool. Shout out to the man, to the dude for putting this on. Yeah, this is a sick podcast. Yeah, I like it a lot. In it, it's hard. Make sure you go watch it. Shout number 2. There's just a couple disclaimers in it. I now know not everyone here is a weirdo. Don't take it to heart. Like, most people are normal, all normal people.
And it's not just logistics that I'm very angry.
Number 3, the logistics. You lots know what I mean, man. I just meant we're all from the same area. Like, I should use a different word, but they know what it means. Number 4. So my housemate Georgia said to shout her out in it. So I was like,
big up Georgia.
Big up
Shout
Georgia.
out Georgia still.
She taught me a lot about hard work, kind of, because she does work hard.
Yeah.
So when she works hard, I think, oh, cool, I got to get a move on. So once again, my shouts to them, man, to the D, man. These are putting a sick thing on, man.
You should get a podcast, bro.
Bro, you got a sick podcast voice as well, you know.
Nah,
bro,
Nah,
it's so
maybe.
easy,
Start
bro.
it,
It's
brother.
so easy, bro.
YouTube channel especially.
Bro.
Come on.
Bro, why? What's going on, bro?
Bro, I know what, I will now actually will, you know. Now
Yeah?
you say I will.
Oh,
Bro,
man,
you
no.
need to.
Next year when you're traveling, you're doing all your
Yeah,
different
literally.
things.
No,
Yeah,
start
that's
now,
it.
start now.
No, start there. Definitely put the groundwork in now.
definitely.
Start now, bro. You got 2 subscribers, bro.
Say no more,
And you
bro.
got you got a platform, bro. Have you met podcast? That's your
Yeah.
home, bro.
Come in hard, bro.
Yeah, we'll plug it.
I appreciate that, man. I actually should, you know.
You should, man. You should.
100%, bro. Get the acting thing back into it as well.
Yeah,
bro.
man.
Yeah.
Literally, that's something. That's why.
Oh, we didn't get to mention that, but yeah, man. I mean,
Yeah,
was
but-
acting last year, man. Doing your thing in Cambridge. with the
Yeah.
theatre production.
I mean, I'm grateful that I had the chance to do that.
Mm.
You know, even though it was only one player, stuff like that. That's what uni's all about for me. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Trying out different things, like just why not? I feel like people think, if I do a sport, does that mean I have to do a sport every week? No, it doesn't. You can just be in and out. Or
That's it.
if I do theatre, does that mean I gotta be the theatre person? No, it doesn't. Of course not. Just try out different things. Otherwise, you'll regret it. Because I just like say one thing, yeah. So
go on, bro.
one of the guys, so the guy I was, like a friend of mine, and he was in the play last year as well. It's called Ben Galvin. He's probably big into the theatre stuff, yeah. And I remember asking him before I even got to play, I was like, bro, I'm kind of interested in drama. How do I get into it? He's like, oh, look, man, you just got to audition. You really just got this, like, it's that simple. Just audition. Goes for anything in life. Just put yourself out there. Like, you know, sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But and he also said another thing. Said for him, the reason he likes it so much because university is like the one place where you can do back-to-back plays. Like, when else are you gonna be able to do a play every time, or when else like are you gonna be playing football so much, or doing basketball, or doing whatever activity you're into, or like. And another thing is gonna be people around you who are like-minded who want to do it for free, like because they enjoy it. So why not?
But I really enjoyed coming to watch you, man. And like you talk about from your side of things. From my side of things, is like, yo, my boy is gonna be in a play. It's such a sick thing to just be like in the audience, and you're like, Amin, you know how sick the bro. So it's like you bring a lot of. It's not only benefit to yourself, but you bring a lot of joy to the people that know you. Do you know what I mean? And I remember bumping into you on the street after. We're like, Denzel,
so
like
sick.
those moments, bro. Even like that's like, imagine it, bro. You're going through it. You're thinking, shall I audition or not? You audition. You get in. You're on the thing. Now I'm gassed, bro, and it's like a moment in my university experience. So it's like that butterfly effect of it's not just. Do you know what I mean? You're bringing everyone on. Like for me, I'm sitting on the stage. I'm like, brother, yes, I mean,
Bro,
like,
sometimes
you get
I
me?
remember when I was doing the play, I'd be envious. I'm like, man, the audience get the best job because it's live.
Yeah.
Watching a play is actually so. I think people forget plays are so fun.
Yeah,
like they're fun to watch.
Yeah,
like, and
they are.
that's another regret. Forget the whole actor thing. I watched a couple plays in Cambridge, but I wish I watched more. Like, you know, theatre every week. Why are people not watching this
That's
stuff?
so
like,
true, bro.
Theatre is way better than the cinema. It's something like it's a whole different experience, especially if you go into good plays that are not too long. Because some of them Shakespeare's be going, oh, do you know what I mean? There's the interlude. You think I can go home and think, what do you mean? There's another 2 hours. But literally, like stuff like that is like, it's you can go to it, you can check it out. But it's lots of good stuff going
It
on.
reminds me of that scene from Coach Carter, bro. You know when he's like, you got do you remember that scene?
I know it, but you need to.
I don't know it from word for word, but
what
paraphrase,
happens?
he basically says, you've got to go out there and do your thing because it gives other people the confidence to do their thing.
It's true.
basically.
It's
Do
true.
you know what I mean? Like Asaduddin, he's in the crowd, he's watching you. He's like, cool, I can do that as well. Do you know what I mean? My boy's doing that. Like, if I wanted to do something similar, I mean, I can do it too.
Butterfly effect. Yeah,
Exactly.
you're right.
Yeah,
I never
it's
even thought about it from that view. Like,
Yeah, it's proper.
because you watch them play. That's part of your experience. You know what I mean? I was watching plays and stuff, and then it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Nah, man, big up Amin, man.
Big things coming. Watch this space.
Come on.
Just watch our
Bro,
story.
when you get a million subscribers, yeah, you are bro, obviously part 2 in it, you know what I mean? That's
Sick,
right.
man.
Nah, that was fun, you lot, man. That was proper live.
Nah, love.